If you spent your career as a teacher, a firefighter, a police officer, or any kind of public servant, there is a very real chance that Social Security is holding a check with your name on it right now. And in a lot of cases, nobody is going to mail it to you unless you ask. I'm talking about a lump sum of back pay, thousands of dollars in many cases, plus a bigger check every single month from here on. For more than 40 years, two ugly little rules quietly robbed people who served their communities, and a brand new law just wiped both of them off the books. The catch is the part that should make you angry. Millions had their benefit corrected automatically, but a whole group of people who were told years ago, don't even bother applying, you'll get nothing, are owed the most and are getting exactly nothing because the system is still waiting on a phone call it will never make for you. Stay to the end, because number 5 is the single phone call that turns all of this into real money in your account. It's the biggest one on this list, and it's the easiest. Welcome back to Channel Name, where I take the rules that decide how much of your own money you get to keep and lay them out in plain English. Today's is one of the biggest wins for retired public workers in decades, and it's flying completely under the radar. I'm going to walk you through exactly what changed, who's owed money, how much, and the precise call to make, and the words to say so the person on the other end can't brush you off. One honest note before we go: I'm not with the Social Security Administration and I'm not a financial advisor. I'm the person who hands you the map. You still make the call. Let me clear up the biggest piece of confusion straight away because it's costing people real money. A lot of folks heard they fixed Social Security for teachers and assumed it gets handled by itself. For some of you, it did. But for a huge number of widows, widowers, and people who never filed a claim in the first place, it absolutely does not happen on its own. And those are often the exact people owed the largest amounts. I'll show you which group you're in and what to do about it either way. Quick thing while we're here, drop your old job in the comments. Were you a teacher, fire, police, postal, state, county, federal? Just the word. I want to see who in this audience this actually touches. Let me put a face on it because this only makes sense through a real person. Meet Linda. She's 69, and she taught 3rd grade in a public school for 31 years. She gets a teacher's pension she earned every penny of. Her husband, Raymond, worked in the private sector his whole life and paid Social Security taxes out of every single paycheck until he passed away 4 years ago. For most widows, when a husband like Raymond dies, Social Security pays a survivor benefit off his record. Linda was told she'd get almost none of it. Why? Because of one of those 2 rules I mentioned. Keep her in mind. By the end, you'll see exactly how much was being kept from her and how she gets it back. Number 1, understand what actually died, because this is the whole foundation. For decades, there were 2 rules with boring names that did a lot of damage. The first was the Windfall Elimination Provision. Most people just call it WEP. The second was the Government Pension Offset, or GPO. Here's what they did in plain English. If you earned a pension from a job that didn't pay into Social Security, and that's most public school teachers in a lot of states, plus many firefighters, police, and federal workers under the old system, these 2 rules let the government shrink your Social Security check or your spouse's, sometimes all the way down to nothing. You paid in at a second job. Your late husband paid in for 40 years. Didn't matter. They cut it anyway. Think about how many people that touched. We're talking about teachers in places like Texas, Ohio, Illinois, California, Colorado, and a dozen more states where the school pension was never part of Social Security. Firefighters and police on their own retirement systems. Older federal employees under what's called the Civil Service Retirement System. By the government's own count, more than 3 million people were being shorted. 3 million retired public servants. In early 2025, a law called the Social Security Fairness Act was signed, and it repealed both of those rules. Gone. And not just going forward, it was made retroactive all the way back to January of 2024, which means December of 2023 was the very last month those old cuts were allowed to touch your check. That word, retroactive, is where the lump sum comes from. Hold on to it. Number 2 is the first pile of money, the WEP money, your own check. This one is for the person who worked a public job and also earned enough credits at other work to get their own Social Security. Under the old WEP rule, your personal Social Security benefit was being chopped down. The average cut ran around $480 a month, every month. Now that WEP is repealed, that reduction is erased, and your monthly check goes up to what it always should have been. Then comes the back pay. Because the fix reaches back to January 2024, Social Security owes you the difference for every one of those months you were shortchanged. On that average cut, just the back pay for the first year alone came to somewhere around $5,700. The Social Security Administration has said the average lump sum going out has been about $6,700 a person. For a lot of retired teachers, that's the biggest single check they've ever gotten from the government. Money that was always theirs. Now, who exactly qualifies for this first pile? It's the person who worked long enough in Social Security-covered jobs to earn their own benefit. Maybe a summer job, a second career, years before teaching, or a spouse who paid in and then had that benefit shaved down by WEP because of the public pension. If that's the shape of your work life, this is your money. If you're already receiving Social Security, this part was likely handled for you automatically. I'll tell you how to confirm it in a minute because likely is not definitely. And I've heard from too many people whose adjustment quietly fell through the cracks. Let me stop and put a real number in your hands since everyone's situation is different. If your check was being cut by $200 a month, that's $2,400 a year coming back to your monthly amount plus the back pay. If it was cut by $500 a month, you're looking at $6,000 a year restored plus the lump sum on top. Find your own cut and you'll find your own number. Quick gut check before the big one. Did you, or your late spouse, ever work a job where Social Security taxes were not taken out? A public school, a fire department, certain government roles? Type yes or no in the comments. That single fact is the key to everything we're talking about. Number 3 is the bigger pile, and it's the one that gets missed the most. The GPO money, the spousal and survivor money. This is Linda's number. The government pension offset went after the benefit you'd collect on someone else's record, your husband's or your wife's, and it was brutal. It reduced that spousal or survivor benefit by 2/3 of your own pension. For a lot of retired teachers with a decent pension, 2/3 of it was enough to wipe the entire Social Security survivor benefit down to zero. That's why so many were told flat out, you won't get a widow's benefit, don't even apply. With GPO repealed, that offset is gone. Survivors can now collect their full public pension and their full, unreduced Social Security survivor benefit at the same time. Let me say that again slowly, because for 40 years it was not allowed. Your whole pension and your whole survivor check, both side by side. For Linda, the survivor benefit off Raymond's record that she'd been told was basically nothing, it's now worth well over $1,000 a month to her and back pay on top, reaching to January 2024. And here's the part that makes it worse for the people it hit. The bigger your pension, the more GPO took. So the teachers and public workers who served the longest and earned the most were punished the hardest, and a great many of them simply gave up and never filed. If your spousal benefit would have been $1,200 a month and 2/3 of your pension was more than that, you were knocked to zero, and you were told so. That zero is now a real number again. This is where the largest checks in this whole story are hiding, and they're hiding behind the people who were told years ago not to bother. Which brings me to number 4, and this is the trap, the reason I made this whole video, so please don't skip it. There are 2 completely different situations here, and the difference decides whether you ever see a dime. Situation 1, you were already getting a Social Security check. If that's you, the Social Security Administration has mostly been adjusting these automatically. They started the increases in early 2025 and have already pushed out millions of payments. As of the middle of 2025, they'd already sent out more than 3 million payments, billions of dollars, ahead of schedule. So if you've been collecting a check, there's a strong chance your raise and your back pay already landed. Go confirm it. Good. Situation 2, and this is the one that breaks my heart. You never applied at all. You were told years ago that WEP or GPO would leave you with nothing, so you reasonably never filed a claim. Maybe you never signed up for your own benefit. Maybe, like a lot of widows, you never filed for the survivor benefit because someone at an office told you it'd be zero. Here's the hard truth. Social Security is not going to automatically start paying a benefit you never applied for. There's no claim in their system to fix. You are, on paper, invisible to this whole correction, and the survivor application can't even be done online. There's no website button for it, no form you can click through at midnight. You have to call or walk in and specifically ask. So the very people owed the most, the widows and widowers who were zeroed out by GPO, are the ones most likely to get nothing unless they act. Picture it. A retired teacher in her 70s, husband gone, was told a decade ago her widow's benefit would be zero, so she filed it away and never thought about it again. The law changed. Her benefit is now real, maybe $1,300 or $1,400 a month. But there is no claim sitting in the system for a computer to find and fix. As far as the machine is concerned, she doesn't exist in this line. She will wait forever for a check that will never come on its own. That is the most never claim part. And now you know exactly why. It isn't that they don't qualify, it's that nobody ever told them the door finally opened. And now number 5, the one I told you to wait for. After all that, the action is almost insultingly simple, and that's exactly why I put it last. It's one phone call. Pick up the phone and dial the Social Security Administration at 1-800-772-1213. When someone answers, here are the words. If you already get a check, say, I worked in public service and I want to confirm my benefit was adjusted under the Social Security Fairness Act and that I received my retroactive payment. If you never applied, and this is the big one, say, I want to file an application for benefits under the Social Security Fairness Act. My spouse paid into Social Security and I was previously offset by GPO. Ask for it by name. While you're at it, go online and set up a free My Social Security account at s-s-a.gov so you can see your record and your payment history with your own eyes. Now here's the piece that makes this urgent, and it's the one thing in this video that has a clock on it. When you file a brand new application, Social Security generally only pays back pay up to 6 months before the date you file. The automatic cases reach to January 2024. A new claim might not. Every month you wait to file can be a month of back pay you simply lose. This is not a get-to-it-next-year situation. The phone call is the lump sum. Now let me bring it home with Linda, because this is where it stops being numbers and starts being a person. Linda did exactly 5 things, one at a time. First, she figured out that as a teacher with a pension, she fell squarely inside this law. Second, she checked her own Social Security and confirmed the WEP cut on her personal benefit had been restored automatically. That part, the system handled. Third, she realized the big one. The survivor benefit off Raymond's record had never been claimed because back in the day she was told it would be 0. Fourth, she understood that nobody at Social Security was ever going to fix a claim that didn't exist. And fifth, she made the phone call and filed for that survivor benefit by name. The result? Her monthly income went up by more than $1,000 for the rest of her life. And because she didn't sit on it, she protected the back pay she was entitled to. One afternoon, one phone call. More than $12,000 a year in income she'd been told for years she would never see. And think about what that number really is over time. $12,000 a year across the 20 or so years a healthy 69-year-old can expect ahead of her is well over $200,000. $200,000 that came down to whether she made one phone call or believed an old no. That's not a small correction. That's the difference between scraping by and breathing easy for the rest of her life. Here's what genuinely bothers me about this one. Linda wasn't asking for charity and she wasn't gaming anything. Her husband paid Social Security taxes out of every paycheck for 40 years specifically, so that if something happened to him, she'd be taken care of. A rule with a bureaucratic name took that away from her, and another law finally gave it back. The only reason she almost missed it is that the people hit hardest were the ones told, long ago, to stop trying. The retired public servants who get this money back aren't sharper or luckier than the ones who don't. They're just the ones who found out the rule had changed and picked up the phone. So do something with this today. Send it to one retired teacher, one firefighter, one police officer, one widow of a public worker, anyone you know who spent a career serving and was ever told Social Security wasn't for them. This could be the single most valuable thing they hear all year, and it might be a check worth thousands. If this helped you, give it a like so the next public servant finds it, and subscribe to channel name. I break down one of these money rules every week because nobody at the agency is going to knock on your door and do it for you. Then tell me in the comments, were you or your spouse hit by WEP or GPO? Drop your old job in a yes or no. And if you want the simple one-page script of exactly what to say on that phone call, say phone call in the comments and I'll point you to it. You spent a career taking care of other people. You served your community, your students, your town for decades. It's time the math finally served you back.